It's another beautiful day out on the water and probably another boat right here that's going to be listed for sale. The listing will probably read, boat in excellent condition, well taken care of, no lowball offers, I know what I got. Welcome back guys to this week's episode of Boneheaded Boaters of the Week. Speaking of boat listings, let's go ahead and actually talk about that today. Buying a used boat and some of the things you need to look for if you're actually going to do this. Buying a used boat's a little bit more of a complicated process than say like buying a used car. For example, used cars, there are plenty of services out there nowadays that will kind of give you a brief history of that vehicle. In boating, it doesn't really exist, and if it does, it's definitely not going to be as accurate as some of those services, because unless you report anything through insurance on a boat, there's no real records kept on how the boat was treated during its prior ownership. While some things in boating will be glaring and obvious that there are issues, sometimes those issues can be hidden and underlying. So unlike in the car world where I can just go to a couple websites and typically get a full history on a car where I can see if the mileage is accurate, if the vehicle's ever been in an accident, or any service or recall record history, in boating you're going to have to do a lot more research to make sure you have all the information. So one of the first pieces of advice I would give somebody if they're looking at buying a used boat is go ahead and get a survey done. It can save a whole lot of headaches later from you finding out there's some underlying issues, well, that can have some serious consequences. A good marine surveyor is going to do a full hull inspection, making sure there's no soft spots or issues or any water penetration that's gotten into the hull. Also, they're going to do a full systems check, inspecting every system on the vessel, making sure they're all working. And where this can really be a huge advantage is once you find out what's not working, you can use this as a price negotiation tool, or at least you know up front what all you have to repair on the boat. You'll also want to make sure your marine survey includes a full engine inspection. This will usually include a marine surveyor hooking up a computer to the motors, checking for abuse, also verifying how many hours the boat's been ran at what RPMs, and verifying the amount of hours you're being told on the vessel is accurate. You want to make sure this is included in your survey because this is one of the most expensive parts of your vessel likely, and you want to make sure they were maintained and well taken care of, because there's no worse feeling than making a major purchase only to find out one of the most integral parts of the vessel wasn't taken care of correctly. Ask the owner lots of questions. Try and find out maybe where they stored the boat, because this will start to give you an idea of the boat's history. Maybe they stored the boat wet and they stored it on the water, and that'll leave some extra things you're going to want to look for when you do an inspection on the boat. Maybe they kept it in dry storage, and don't get me wrong, there's still issues that can arise from keeping a boat in dry storage as well.
Stop!
You are Broncos guru. Sea to the rescue. Hard beach.
Ask the prior owner what a typical day of boating included for them. This will give you an idea of exactly how the boat was being used out on the water, and if it was being abused or if it was just a nice little sandbar boat that was barely being used at low RPMs. Once the prior owner has told you what their typical day was out on the boat, try and confirm it. I know that sounds a little strange, but if the boat's got a GPS on it, just go back into that GPS, look for their marked points on the GPS, or maybe any prior tracks, and see exactly what they were doing. Once again, this will just try and help you piece that history of this vessel together. It'll also give you an idea if the boat was ever in a location or a spot that it probably just shouldn't have been in. And that could let you know if you need to look for any further signs of abuse. Buying a used boat can be a stressful process, but it doesn't have to be. Take your time, do the full inspection, look for the obvious things, but once again, dig a little further sometime and look for the less obvious signs of damage. Now, this is not a full guide on how to get yourself under that bridge and to the point of purchases, but just a few recommendations I have from doing it. And of course, I'd love to know what some of your tips and tricks are for when you go out and you decide you're going to buy a used boat. Go ahead and line it up in the comments below and let us know what your ideas and things that you typically look for when you're buying a used boat. One of the other things that I traditionally try and do with this if I'm buying a used vessel is if I'm financing the vessel at all, I try not to include the trailer in financing. Typically on a used boat, one of the most abused things and the least things that's taken care of is typically going to be the trailer. And almost every time I've ever bought a used boat, I immediately wanted to get rid of that trailer and buy a new one. The problem is if you include the trailer in financing, the bank is going to go ahead and take that title and you're not going to be able to get rid of this trailer. So if you can hold the title back on the trailer on a used boat, by all means do it, because it's likely going to be one of the first things you're going to want to upgrade. So you don't get left sitting high and dry on the side of the road due to a busted up, untaken care of trailer. Thanks for watching guys. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Boneheaded Boaters of the Week. If you ever see anything crazy happening out in your waterways, be sure to hit me up on Facebook or Instagram and let me know, and you might see your stories over here. Just like Ben J. Stark, Blair Freeman, Borgelato, Dilly McDonald, D. Turpco, Eliza Frizzle, Gretson Balby, Jonah K, Jordan Tobins, K-Burt24, Largemouth Josh, Sam777 West, Mike Vanacore, and Top Yacht did this week. And if you haven't already, go ahead and drop an anchor on the subscribe button here. If not, we're coming to steal your drain plug.